Hey, welcome. So we're gonna work our way through understanding some basic idea about what are called kendras. So let's have a look at a chart here. And if you're following along on the website, we introduced the idea of just a basic chart. So the idea is you got a chart, which is just a slice of the sky, and just like a circle. Let's look at the circle first. So here you should see a circle. Western chart circle. So you may be familiar with this one. So the idea is you have a reference point. That's called AS here, which stands for the reference point. And it's actually the eastern horizon. But the idea here is you take a circle, split it into 12 parts. So it's like you got the Earth and you surround it with 12 parts. And each part gets its constellation, like Scorpio or Libra, Virgo. You've probably heard of those types of things. So that's the first idea. And you have a reference point that's called the ascendant in Vedic astrology. The word, it's called Lagna, Lagna. So this is a Western chart, but usually you have different styles of charts in Indian. The one I'm going to use, because it's helpful, is this one here. It's called a North Indian chart. And it looks funny, but the main idea here is that, again, the AS is the important thing. That's the point of reference. And so you still have 12 boxes, and the idea that's like splitting the circle into 12 parts. So the part at the top for this type of chart is always the point of reference. And it actually corresponds to the eastern horizon, where the sun rises at the time that the person is born. So, if the person is born, say, at midnight, that would be the point where the sun would rise. Not that it was there, but it would rise there as soon as possible. So it's like a reference point for everybody. Given that, then the key idea here is what's called a kendra. And there are lots and lots of details here, but a kendra, Kendra. The idea is there are 4, and if you just take a circle again, the idea is it's basically splitting the circle into 4 parts. So in each of these points, they're like 4 cardinal points: east, north, south, and west are called the kendras. So there are 4 kendras. And the idea that we want to get across here, that's important to understand, is that 4 kendras is the same thing as 2 axes, or two lines. So you have, in this chart here, the 4 boxes. In the middle are the kendras. So the one at the top is the east. The one at the bottom is just like 180 degrees across, so that would be the west. And so that gives you an axis. So it's like just a single line. And that's a powerful notion, because that's like, you can think of it just the energy, or just how things manifest. So things happen along that axis. So the east, or what's called the ascendant, is basically you. And the other side is basically the world. So it's like you basically, like the sun, manifest, come into the world, and how the world, responds to you, and the kind of experience you have is an interplay between you and the world across the street. So that's why that axis is so important. And it's the same idea the other direction. So let's have a look at just these two boxes. So in terms of cardinal directions, that would be south, and across the street would be north. So in the Jyotish, in Indian astrology, south, that box also represents up, or the sky, or heaven. And just like the opposite of heaven or the sky would be the earth. So it's very much like Native American or shamanic stuff. It's like what you have, what grounds you, what gives you, what roots you, what centers you. That's the earth. And then there's your expression in life, or the sky. So that's another axis. And the difference here is that one of these lines or axes is between you and the world, but it's more like day-to-day living. It's just, you get up in the morning and you do what you do, and then just you have certain experiences. So that's the one with the ascendant, because it's the east to the west. But you see here in astrology, you've also got this sense of earth and sky. So that, up and down here, that's day to day. Up and down, it's more like your career in life, and it's also, that's the spiritual part. So in this case, that's sort of like your inner you. It's you can think of it, it's the earth, it's your values, it's the home, it's what grounds you, it's the place that you grow out of. And where do you grow? I mean, part of it is you live, you have a life, you do this and that, but part of it, the idea in terms of this kind of astrology, is that you're supposed to become a better person, and ideally, eventually, you get interested in helping others and becoming what's called service or dharma, and then eventually spiritual. And all that, like the better part of being a human, is the second axis. So we could call it a primary axis and a secondary axis. So two. So basically, all of this is, it's a model, it's simple, but it still has some power. And there's a whole mathematical reason why that it actually occurs. So, but the idea then to get here is that there's this primary axis that's day-to-day living, and there's the secondary axis, which is just kind of where life takes you, where you go. then you can look at charts and you can actually see a person's life, what happened to them, what is happening to them, what will happen to them. And if a person is informed, they can make choices and they can change, because we all do have free will. I mean, that's part of this, the astrology. It's not that things happen to us and that's the end of it. It's like things do happen to us, but we have the chance, the grace, the opportunity to actually make some choices and change, usually for the better if that's what we want. So here we go. All right, so this fellow, this was, he's an artist. He was a famous artist in his time, kind of turn of the century. He was actually born in the Netherlands, spent the latter part of his life in England, and he painted a lot. And what he painted were these amazing paintings of, but all of ancient times, like Rome, Greece, that type of thing. So you can see a picture of him here. This is the gentleman. And if we look at just a couple of his pictures, just to get the idea, this is a classic here. Chess players. So this was like an early, kind of a middle piece in his career. But he was actually one of the highest paid artists in his time. You can see this. So this is like classic more kind of thing. It's always kind of ancient, that type of thing. This is a classic. What he was especially noted for was this contrast between dark background and really light and bright front. But it's always beautiful, ancient, that type of thing. Okay, just let's look at his chart just real quick here, just to get the idea. So we're looking at two axes. And remember, AS that's him. It's like a snapshot. So the AS, or the ascendant, that box or that direction is like it's just a snapshot of who the person is, of who you are, or whoever it is where the chart's for. So in this case, this is the artist. He actually became, he was knighted and became Sir Lawrence in the end. He was, in favor with a lot of people high up and stuff. So this is you. In this case, this is our artist friend. And then across the street is here. So there's a whole thing in astrology about how you interpret these things. And I talk a little bit more about this on other videos, or you can, read books or lots of stuff on the web. But the idea is each box is like a house or a hotel. And what counts is basically, where is it? You can imagine it's got to be in a good location. So it's like if you had a house in the wrong side of town, not so good. The house in a good neighborhood, that's much better, that kind of thing. So which box, where it is, makes a difference. Who owns the house and who lives there. So there are three things that are important. So in this case, you can say who owns it by looking at the number. That one, there's a whole thing, but the one means Aries. That's a constellation, and the planet that owns that is Mars. So what you know is he has qualities related to Aries and Mars, and that's kind of how he is. And it turns out that Mars is happy there, mostly pretty happy where it is, and it has a lot to do with making money for him in his chart. And if you look across the street, there's this thing, Saturn. However, Saturn, it's a planet. These are all planets. It's happy. It's like it depends on where you live. You can imagine if you really enjoy, say the Mediterranean. And then if you're living, if you hang out at a Club Med on the Mediterranean, you'll be happy, that kind of thing. So Saturn is really, really happy here. So the 7 means it's Libra. And Saturn's what's called exalted. Just means it's very happy. It functions well. It's like sort of like a blessing. One thing Saturn means is ancient. So, and you remember that our friend here, the artist, painted what? Ancient. It was ancient paintings. He made all his money doing mostly ancient stuff like Rome and Greece and all that kind of thing, the Egyptians. So Libra is about money. Saturn exalted is happy, and so that's the world. So, and again, this is the primary axis is day-to-day living. So he made his money, but by being an artist and painting the ancient world. And if we look at the secondary axis, I said that's the spiritual level. But before you get to the spiritual level, another thing it stands for is just career. Because you can think the sky stands like your status in life. So his career was this box up here, and Venus, that VE stands for Venus, that means art. And it also means lots of money. And Venus is happy in this location as well. So it's like art plus ancient world, and that's basically what you have for that for this artist or Lawrence. So that's the basic idea. Primary axis, secondary axis, each has a kind of a significant impact on how a person lives. And depending what's there, who's living where, are they happy or are they stressed, what's going on, the person, you or me or anybody, we can make choices to improve things. So it's like you're not stuck, even if it's difficult or challenging for him. It's like really good, at least in terms of the artwork and making lots of money. But for everybody's got some challenges, some opportunities. So but what you really should understand is that there are these two kind of factors, and it kind of makes sense. It's like you live in life, and then you can aspire to career, bigger things. That's the idea. So day to day, primary axis, east west, and then career and bigger aspirations. That's the world to the sky, or it's the north to the south. So that's it for now. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye.